Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have Grant filming with me again, as you can see, because we have received some DIY home improvement type questions, so we'll answer them together. Some of the questions came through on Facebook and I think some on Instagram. Christine asked, I need to paint my walls, but I only have an hour or two at the most per day to tackle it. I haven't started because I'm not sure how to manage the starting and stopping. If you could only paint an hour at a time, how would you organize yourself to be the most efficient? Where and how would you start?
If you're going to do only an hour's worth, make sure you do like at least one full wall.
If you can in an hour.
How big is the wall?
I don't know. How big is a piece of string? I would say try and break your task up into, like Grant says, a full wall if you can, or just cutting in one wall, or kind of something that you can do and then put things back so that you can still live in the room in between. So
that's a good point. I was thinking more of the paint, because if you come to half a wall and the next day do another half wall, you probably see it.
Yeah.
A line
where you stopped and started.
So you need to do the whole wall while it's wet.
If you can, yeah.
If you can, yeah.
So yeah, I would kind of do the paintbrush cutting in as much as you can. You can either wash your paintbrush in between or put it in like plastic wrap it up tightly and put it into a Ziploc bag, and then you can just kind of pick it up and carry on the next day.
That's a good tip, because that's what we do. Like sometimes we paint like 3 days in a row, and instead of washing the brushes every time, you just have to put it in a Ziploc bag, or
you have to wrap it really well. Like put your cling film on it and press it so that it's
paint brushes and rollers.
Yeah, so there's as little air as possible in there. You can do that with rollers. So maybe if you don't have enough time to roller the whole room, like Grant said, try to do a full wall. So move the furniture. You've done your cutting in another hour or two that you've had, and then just get out your roller, do that full wall, and then stop. And you can wrap your roller with the plastic wrap and then carry on the next day. But try and exclude as much air as possible and wrap it as well as possible so that the paint doesn't dry in your roller or brush. Jennifer said, all your projects seem very well thought out with a clear vision in mind. Thank you. Have you ever just on a whim done a project and decided to figure out the details as you go? Ooh, I haven't even thought about it. These questions I got so long ago, so I haven't actually thought about the answers. Have we ever just tackled something on a whim?
We normally have a bit of thought process before we start.
Yeah, we usually have to wait to start, like either wait for money or wait for time, and so I think things over a lot. Have I ever just on a whim done something?
I tried to do something on a whim, but then I got stopped by you.
Your whims are different to my whims.
I'm still waiting for you to give me the go-ahead.
Listen, don't put it on me. I can't think of anything that we've just on a whim done. There's things that I've been wanting to do and planning to do, and then on a whim I'm like, I'm going to just do that today and dive in when I hadn't planned to do it on that particular day. But I can't think of anything where I've just like accidentally decorated on a whim. Mandy asked, what is the most important lesson you have learned during your years of DIY?
Well, especially in this country, things always work out more expensive than...
Yeah. DIY in England is so inexpensive, and DIY in New Zealand is like eye-wateringly expensive. Like in England you could buy a place and do it up and sell it and make quite a big profit. I don't know how people do that in New Zealand, because DIY is just so expensive. So yeah, that's one of the things we've learned. It's always going to cost more than you think it is. The most important lesson, I think the most important lesson is it's going to all be all right in the end, because I can stress out at points in the project and feel like it's never going to get done, or feel like my vision has changed because the things I wanted to do, we've hit a roadblock and I can't do them. And I think I just need to like chill and realize it's all going to get done in the end and it will all be fine.
Yeah, you get to a point in the project where you think, what have I done?
What have I done? And you can contract things out. Like if you really get stuck or things go badly wrong, you can actually just stop, and it may take time to save the money if you didn't have it in the first place, which is why you're DIYing, but you can get someone else to fix it. So like, don't panic, just do your best and push forward, I guess.
Yeah, and obviously the more DIY stuff you do, the better you get at it. Like,
yeah.
I assume some of our early projects weren't so great.
No.
I mean, we're not brilliant anyway.
We just muddle along, but I mean, yeah, it's all good. Cork hides a multitude of skins. Ali asked, what has been your hardest DIY to date and why? I know what you're going to say.
Do you?
The roof.
Oh, definitely the roof on this house, yeah.
It's still not finished. Well, it's finished. We just have one section, maybe 8 foot wide, that we need to do a second coat of paint on. And it's like literally hanging over me. Like, it just needs doing and then it's done.
Yeah, when we got a quote for the roof from the company, I thought, well, I can do that for half the price.
And you did, like, to be fair,
yeah,
you did, but
I've only done half the roof because it took forever.
Well, the other half didn't need doing.
Not
so
as badly, yeah.
Fair enough. Bought us some time anyway. We may have to just replace the whole roof in, I don't know, 5 years, but in the meantime, it did save us a lot of money. It was just way more work than you'd anticipated.
Maybe, yeah, a lot more work, and it's quite dangerous up there.
Yeah. What's the worst that I've undertaken? The bathroom, oh my word, the bathroom in our second last house in England was like a turning point in our marriage. I was like, if we can survive this bathroom, we can survive anything.
Yes, oh, that was, you talking about the window replacement on the second floor.
He's going to replace the window in the bathroom, and I said, we have the budget to pay someone to replace this window. I don't want to borrow it. If you replace this window, you're doing it on your own. I want nothing to do with this window. How did that turn out?
Can I tell you the story? I took the old window out, and what happened was there's no lintel. Is that what they call it?
Yeah. And the bricks weren't even mortared in. They were resting on top of the window.
Bricks started falling down from the wall. Smashed
a hole in the roof of the kitchen extension, and then Grant's shouting for me with this window half in, half out, come and help me.
Oh dear. Disaster.
Yeah. We got it done in the end, but there were bad words said. We still love each other, so it worked out.
Yeah, there's some things just left for the professionals that do it day in and day out.
I've got that on video now. I've said that to him so many times.
No.
There's certain jobs where I'm like, let's just contract this out, and he's like, oh no, I could do it, because he just sees the money, like the dollar signs floating by, and then ends up saying to me, we should have contracted that out. So now I've got it like on camera.
Like the roof, we should have just contracted it out.
I didn't say it. Andrea says, how do you come up with your design and color ideas? I just know what I like, really. You can go on Pinterest and just like search for kitchen and pin all the kitchens that you like, and then when you go through your board, you'll start to see a pattern. You'll realize, oh, every image that's actually caught my eye and made me want to pin it, they all have these similarities. They all tend to have light cabinets, or they all tend to have wood floors. And you can, if you don't know what you like, that's a way of figuring out what you like, because you can pin like a variety of styles and go, oh, I don't know what my style is, but when you look at those different styles, you realize they have warm wood tones in them and a lot of light, or whatever. There will be some similarities. Yeah, I just know what I like, and I try and incorporate those things into the design.
Am I right in saying that we normally go kind of neutral? Or,
yeah.
Is that the right word?
Yeah, like the walls and the furniture and the big things will be neutral, and then we can kind of switch other things up, like bedding or curtains, whatever.
Like, we don't normally go for really bold colours, except the kitchen in one of our houses went red.
Yeah, which is like paint on the wall. You can switch that up, but like we wouldn't get red counters or cabinets or anything. So yeah.
I always think in my mind, one day you might sell this house. And
do you? Do you think that about this house?
Yeah.
I only thought that this week. I was like, oh, one day someone's going to look around here and be looking to buy. But
yeah. So I always try and future-proof it.
Yeah. Which, that red kitchen, when we went to sell the house, we went back in and painted it all beige, so it was kind of neutral.
I didn't like that red kitchen anyway.
Didn't you?
Yeah. Did you?
I did at the time, but...
Oh, well, would you do it again? That's the question.
No.
No, exactly.
No, that house we experimented with colour. So Daniel's room was a sage green, our bedroom was a dark brown, the kitchen was red, and what else? Noah's room was like this beautiful aqua colour. But we got that out of our system, and then the next house was like all neutral throughout. I know I like white furniture. I realized years ago that I kept being drawn to white furniture, even though the kind of pale blonde wood was in fashion and then the dark wood was in fashion. I kept being drawn to white furniture, and I was like, I'm just going to go with white furniture because I love it. And so all our furniture in our house is white, and that's really worked out. Every time we move house, you can kind of juggle things around, like all of the furniture matches. So, and also you can get cheap furniture and just paint it white and it all matches. So yeah. Doesn't matter what's in fashion, just go with what you actually like. On Instagram, Cami asked, how do you go about planning and budgeting for big projects? I think somebody else asked about budgeting as well. We've got a list of things like to buy or that we need or that we'd like to buy or do, and then we agree which one's next on the agenda, and then as the money becomes available, we'll do that.
And we kind of think about how much it's going to cost, and so we've got a rough idea.
So it kind of, we rank them out of how much they're going to cost and how soon we want to do it. We agree on that together, and luckily we do agree on most things. And then as the money becomes available, we do that. Sometimes there are projects that are more urgent, and then we'll dip into our savings. We have a minimum amount we like to keep in our savings, and so we'll dip into that to get things done if they are more urgent, but then we'll kind of go on a bit of a spending freeze to build that back up to our comfortable minimum.
And if we budgeted something and it reached the top of the budget, we just kind of put it on hold, don't we?
Yeah, we'll stop until more money becomes available. We won't just go into debt to finish it or anything. Victoria asked, how does the cost of DIY home improvements in New Zealand compare to England? I think we've kind of answered this, but there's no IKEA here. Our kitchen in our second to last house, we ripped out, gutted the entire kitchen and put in a whole new kitchen, and all of the cabinets and door fronts and hardware, and I'm not sure if that included the countertop, but it was £700, which is,
that's ridiculous,
like $1,400.
Yeah.
That would get you what, like maybe 3 cabinets here?
Yeah.
No countertop.
Yeah.
It's so expensive here, and it is so inexpensive in England.
Yeah, just the hardware stores here are so much more expensive.
Yeah, not just
even
contractors,
things,
but just buying
like screws and all the little things you don't even see.
Paint.
Paint.
Like $70 for a can of paint. Like, I don't have $70 lying around anytime I want. Yeah, for the little one.
Oh, yeah.
She also asked, what are some future projects and designs? Oh, here we go. I mentioned to Grant about sometime in the future saving up and replacing the kitchen, and like he had a conniption.
It's not even on that spreadsheet of what we're going to be.
I spend how much time in that kitchen, but he doesn't, so apparently that's not a priority and it's not on the spreadsheet.
Correct. Well, it's not a priority at the moment. We've got too many other things.
It's not a priority at the moment. There are other things on our list. One of the things that I'm planning on tackling soon is the planked wall in the hallway. And I keep talking about it, and I keep getting annoyed with myself for talking about it and not doing it.
What are you waiting for?
Better days, I don't know. Anyway, I need to do all the prep work. I need to take the mirror off and pull some wallpaper and paint it white, and yeah, so that's the next project I'm planning on tackling. Also finishing the greenhouse. Yeah,
putting on the doors, and but we kind of, since I broke my foot, we kind of stopped, haven't we?
Yeah.
It shows you who was driving first.
I was gonna say, yeah, why is that? Because there's no reason. We've just been busy and we've been traveling, and yeah. Are you alright?
Yeah, sorry, I've got a sore back at the moment, haven't I?
Okay, Rebecca asks, did you plan all flowers and vegetable garden on paper first? And have you had many gardens before? If not, you have the very best beginner's gardener's luck. Yes, I do.
Yeah, Jen's got really good skills in, is it Quark Express you use normally, or?
Thank you. Yeah, Quark Express is the digital layout software I used to use back in the day when I was a graphic designer. And so I tend to plan things on there, whether it's rooms or gardens or anything. I just tend to have a vision with the gardens, but I did plan out what I was going to put in my raised beds and what I was going to put in the courtyard garden on paper, but I mean it doesn't really go according to plan.
And then, like this guest house, you did a few, and what's cool is once you know the size of a table or whatever, or a bed,
you can move it around.
Yeah. So you've got the room size, and then you can move it around to get a good fit.
Yeah, but as far as beginners, like I have gardened a little bit here and there in the past. I've never gardened as extensively as I haven't. I keep looking out at my garden. But I just went for it, and I do have beginner's luck. We had an appalling season. Summer was abysmal. It just rained all the time, and my greenhouse wasn't finished, so the seeds that I started in spring I kind of like nurtured along. As much as the summer was a bit rubbish, it did rain, so my plants were watered, and I think I just did so much that something was bound to be successful.
We're fortunate we've got enough space to just plant out loads.
Yeah, and just go for it. And like the soil is amazing here, so I'm lucky in that respect. Like I read gardening books or sites, and they talk about how to overcome all these problems, like if your climate is really harsh on your garden, or if you have animals that want to come and dig your things up, and if your soil is poor, and if you don't have a lot of room. And I'm like, I have none of those excuses, so I better be successful. Robin also asked, how do you budget for home improvements, either small or big? And I think I answered that. And how do you find a way to update things when styles change? I don't kind of go on styles as in what's in, like on trend. I just go with what I like, and that doesn't tend to change too much over time.
That's a bit also, we just go kind of neutral, don't we? So
yes, it's not like, oh, I'm sick of that whatever because it was such a statement.
Yeah, but I don't think we've been in a house long enough to.
No, the longest we've ever lived in a house was 3.5 years, and 2 of those years we were trying to leave for New Zealand, so we've kind of never really had time to get sick of anything. I tend to kind of decorate and then think, oh, that's done, and then forget about it for the next 6-7 years. Even if we move home, I just kind of replicate like the bedroom or whatever, and then eventually I'll be like, I don't actually like that anymore, and then decide to make a few changes. So it's not like I'm changing things all the time, and there'll be things like, oh, I'll get a new quilt and switch out the bedding colors or whatever. It won't be anything dramatic. You don't really care, do you?
That's your domain.
Yeah. Alex asked, what are you planning to tackle next? The greenhouse and the plank wall, like I said. Any regrets about buying a do-up? Grant's had his moments where he's like, I just spent all of my time, and I'm going to for the rest of my life, fixing this house and garden.
Yeah. You've
had moments where you regretted it, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've had a choice though. We've never been in pots of money where we can, I don't know. I'd rather get a cheaper house and make it
what we want.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
don't know what I'm
doing
trying
it.
to say here.
I don't always enjoy doing DIY, but I enjoy having done DIY, if that makes sense. Like, it's really satisfying, and to see the transformation is so rewarding. I don't think I would want to buy a new house, only because they can be quite characterless and very modern. And so I would spend all my time DIYing and adding character and texture and anyway, so.
That's where we differ. I love to buy a new house. I love modern.
Alex also asked, any future plans of removing the fireplace? I think we talked about this when we first moved in, that we were going to remove the whole fireplace, and we've since decided not to, only because of the amount of work and expense for what? To gain a little bit of blank wall space. Like, we're not going to bother.
And it's something I would get somebody in for that, because it's got a brick chimney going all the way through the back, like into the ceiling and that. So.
Yeah, or you could just remove the fireplace and kind of board it up and leave the chimney intact. But
yeah,
we're not going to bother. Yeah. We're just going to leave it.
I was thinking you'd remove the whole.
Would you?
That'd be great. But
yeah, way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Too much money for what we'll gain, I think.
Yeah. Sarah asks, what is a project you did and then thought, never again?
Oh, we've talked about that kind of, haven't we?
The roof.
Yeah. Must be something else, but I can't think of something.
No, everything else has kind of worked out. Even the bathroom, which was like the low point, because we only had one bathroom as well. The one I talked about, our second last house in England, there was only one bathroom and one toilet in the house. So, yeah, that was bad.
When we moved into this house, I attempted changing taps, and I say never again for that, because the water supply to the house, you couldn't really turn off fully.
Yeah, there was always a trickle, even with the hot water, which we had a hot water tank, so it was hot water coming out.
Yeah, and trying to finish off plumbing when there's boiling hot water squirting out is not a good idea.
No.
So, yeah, but
that's not to say you'd never change taps again, just not in this house, which
but since then we've had that outside.
Stopcock.
Yeah, it's not called a stopcock.
It's called a Toby here.
Toby.
Well, in this area anyway. But yeah, that's probably something that you'd contract out.
Yeah, plumbing in general, I think.
Yeah,
just because you have to be so careful that there's no leaks, because you have a leak behind a wall or something.
Disaster.
You have to end up replacing floors and walls.
There's nothing else I can think of which we've done that we'll never do again. I mean, there's things that we haven't enjoyed doing and we're like, oh, glad that's done and we don't have to do that again, but it's not that it was so bad that we would just never face it again.
Another thing I don't think I'd do again, when for the guest house, we had to cut a hole for the door and the window through concrete block. And I bought myself a grinder, and that was a huge job and filthy dusty.
Yeah, filthy dusty, but he just wanted to tackle the job and didn't move or cover anything. The table saw was here, rolls of insulation.
How dusty it was going to be.
And when you saw how dusty it was, did you go cover it?
Just warning anyone, it starts grinding. I mean, it's obvious now, I guess.
Yeah. So, you wouldn't do that again?
No, and just for the time and effort it was, I think I'd rather pay, you know, somebody a few $100s.
And then finish the job yourself, but just for the actual cutting?
Yeah, just the cutting of the concrete blocks.
We've always had more time than money, so we've always kind of had to do it ourselves, but I think we'd maybe prioritise saving for those things now that we have a bit of experience. Laura says, after all your home improvements across the globe, oh, we're global. What do you think are the top 3 general DIY projects that provide the most bang for your buck? Painting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Flooring.
Yeah, flooring.
Painting, flooring. Curtains, oh my word, who remembers those disgusting blue and yellow curtains?
Kitchen too, if you've got a really old kitchen, I mean, it is an expensive outlay, but somebody looking at a house coming and sees a brand new kitchen.
Oh, painting tiles, for sure. We
true.
moved into a house in England, one of our many, and it had disgusting green tiles. I'll show you some pictures of the horrid green tiles, and one of the first things we did was get some proper tile paint and paint them. It can take a while, it can take about 4 coats, but just keep going. It is so worth it. It made such a difference, and then all your grout is sealed as well with the paint, so it's so easy to clean. But yeah, that made a huge difference.
Because the amount of work we would have had to do to
chip them off and replace them. Yeah, and the paint is so much cheaper than buying new tiles as well.
It looked fine afterwards.
Yeah. Lizzie said, the fireplace, I know you once said you guys wanted to take it out. Why? It's just so lovely. You'll be happy to know it's staying, as we've said before. Leah said, was there a project that you started but then thought you'd just leave it to the professionals?
We have covered this, haven't we?
We kind of have, but we haven't talked about if there was a project that we kind of stopped halfway and said, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
I think the roof was like that, but you just pushed through.
Didn't have money to contract it out then.
I think we've always either DIY'd or contracted out. I don't think we've ever stopped in the middle of something and passed it on. Like, there's certain things we won't do, like jib stopping, or I think in America it's called mudding your drywall. Like where you do the seams and then you get it all smooth. Like that we'll always contract out, because I just feel like that has to be done right, and it's a skill that you build up with practice and experience over years, and so I just wouldn't attempt DIYing it unless it was like in a kitchen that your cabinets are going to go in front of. So that we just choose to contract out. Things like, we had a fence built in our last house in England, like around the back garden, because there was no fence, and we just contracted that out.
That's a good point, yeah.
But I can't think of anything that we've started and then kind of stopped and said, no, let's just get someone to do this.
I'm sure there must be, but I can't think of it.
We've never had the money to do so. Leah also asked, and do you have any DIY plans for better securing your shed, etc. after the recent storm? Those sheds, they're so flimsy.
Yeah, well, we did put that piece of wood up above the doors, so that
stops them blowing in.
The doors can't blow in, and that was the main problem.
Yeah, if the doors stay closed, they're fine, the wind pushes around them. It's if the wind gets into it that's the problem, and I think we've solved that problem.
And if we know a cyclone's coming, then I can just screw those doors closed into that wood. So
Pamela asked, how do you know how to do so many things? Books, learn from parents? I feel like I don't know how to do any of the things you both have tackled.
We YouTube a lot. I YouTube loads.
YouTube, and YouTube like multiple videos, because people have different ways of doing things, and just like look at WikiHow, look at different websites. I don't think we ever reference books, do we?
No, but also like any of the projects we do, you have to have the correct tools. So that's what I always think. I'd rather buy the tools to do that job than pay someone to do it, and then I've got the tools
I think we're a bit nosy as well. When we do have professionals doing a job, an electrician or plumber or builder or whatever, we'll kind of not get in their way, but pop in and out and kind of ask questions and watch what they're doing and kind of see how they do things as well. Not that that's happened often, but yeah, always happy to learn. But yeah, just learning on YouTube. YouTube's great because you can actually see somebody do it. Because if somebody goes, put a dollop of glue, like how much is a dollop? You might think, oh, it's like a 20-cent piece, but then they put like this half a cup of, you know what I mean? Like to actually see someone do it counts for a lot. And then dive in and you'll learn with experience. You'll learn from your own mistakes.
And like, I was just thinking of the drywalls. I don't think we've done drywalling before, have we?
Yeah, we drywalled the bathroom in second last house in England.
Which one?
Yeah, the drywall, that was a disaster. It was a really old, the whole bathroom was tiled in burgundy tiles and mirrors. It was disgusting. I'll put pictures in so you can enjoy the horror along with us. So we stripped all of the tiles off, completely gutted the bathroom.
That was a mess.
That was a mess,
a messy job, yeah, anyway.
Yeah. And then we put battens up and drywall. So Grant goes to the hardware store and he finds a piece of drywall that's like perfect size for the wall. Obviously with a little bit of space so you can like get it up.
Because the whole idea is to not have joins. So
yeah,
if you can get a whole sheet that fits the whole wall, then you're sorted.
Yeah. So this was great, and then he buys it and he gets outside and he's like, how am I going to get this home?
I didn't even think about it.
So some guy in the parking lot took pity on him. He had a truck and he delivered it to our house, and then we're like, okay, we sorted now. And then we realized we couldn't get it up the stairs, around the corner and into the bathroom and standing up in one piece, so we had to cut it anyway.
Isn't there like a friend's...
Here we go, pivot! Pivot! Pivot!
Yeah, to cut it in half anyway.
Yeah, so we ended up with a seam, and that is how we learned that jib stopping or mudding your drywall is best.
Yeah, I think I attempted that one, didn't I? Yeah.
You did, and then we had like
a
always towel rail in front
there
of
was a seam there.
Yeah. I mean, most of the seams are fine, we tiled over them, but that seam, it was okay. It's a light coated, you could tell it wasn't completely smooth, but there was like a towel rail in front of it, so it's all good.
That's true.
We learned. The last question is from Diana, and she asks, what shortcuts do you use for painting, or any tips to make it less labor intensive? Thanks.
Yep.
We kind of covered that with not having to wash your brushes and rollers in between.
I hate painting because it is labor intensive, isn't it?
I do the painting. When I paint a room, I first paint all the trim. Like if the trim needs painting, because usually, well, in our house both have needed doing. And I will use semi-gloss white for the trim. And so if you're painting a door frame, where it meets the wall on the side of the door frame, like there's the door frame.
Yeah,
then
you're going to have a different colour wall to the door frame.
Yeah, yes. I'll just take the door frame paint and just paint along the side and get it all over the wall. It doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
In fact, it's actually better if your white kind of bleeds onto the wall. And then when I paint the wall, all I have to do is get one line straight and neat. Instead of getting the line down the side of the door frame straight and neat and the line of the wall, and invariably they don't meet up properly. I
thought about the paint quality. If you spend a bit more money and buying a good quality paint, that's going to be a thick coat.
You don't want to put it on thickly, but you want good coverage from the paint.
We've used cheaper paint, and you end up using the same amount of, spending the same amount of money because
you
have to do 4 coats.
Yeah.
Nothing
so
worse
it's not
than
cheaper and it costs you more time. So good quality paint. Resin is apparently good. I've never actually used it. I like Dulux. So I use Dulux Aquenamel for trim and doors, and then Dulux whatever emulsion for the walls.
Why do you choose semi-gloss for the trim?
Because glass tends to go yellow quite fast, and I don't really like shiny surfaces. So that's why I like a satin or an eggshell or a semi-gloss.
Okay.
Another tip is if you need to prime something, get your primer tinted the same color as your paint. So it adds to some of the coverage. So you're not doing like a white primer and then 2 coats of
Yeah,
gray.
that's a brilliant tip. I didn't know that until we did this guest house room. Hey, makes so much sense.
Yeah, if your primer is the same color as your paint, it just it helps.
Otherwise, you painted white and then you're trying to cover up white.
There you go.
Brilliant tip.
A brilliant tip to end on. So thanks for submitting your questions. I'm sorry it took so long to film this video, but we got there in the end.
Thanks for watching, and we really appreciate everyone that subscribes. You guys are awesome.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.